to What We Like. We're your hosts, Cindy and Sonia.
Join us each week as we discuss the world of adulting with some Ratchet recap and fun sessions.
Should be petty because I have a petty spirit. So if my petty spirit is live and well,
I definitely recommend.
Because I feel like it's my page.
Right.
And I should be able to post what I want to post.
I live my life unapologetically. I do. Hey, Sonia.
Hey, Cindy.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's Monday, you know.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's that dreaded Monday.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
You know what? It wasn't too bad. I'm not gonna complain. It's just Mondays. Like, it seems like it's Friday and then you're looking forward to the weekend and then it's Saturday night and before you know it, it's Sunday evening. Like,
Yes. I love Sundays, but at the same time, I dread Sundays because I know that, what's coming next. But,
yeah.
Same as you, my Monday wasn't terrible. It was actually okay. And so it's starting off to a good week. That's a good thing.
Yes. Positivity.
Yes. Definitely positivity. Okay, so let's jump into this week's car chatter. And first, I have, on a sad note, to two things. T.I.'s sister Precious passed away from a car accident. So that was really, really sad because she seemed like a really, really sweet person. Obviously I don't know her personally, but just seeing her from their shows, she seemed like a really sweet person. And it's always really hard to lose someone, period, but definitely unexpected because hers stemmed from a car accident.
Right. And I read today that the car accident was from an asthma attack. So they're saying she had the asthma attack first, and then that caused the car accident. So apparently she had asthma really bad. So
yes. So
yeah,
that was really, really hated to hear that.
Yeah.
And then also today, I saw that Luke Perry passed away. I saw a few days ago he had a stroke. And then it came out today that he passed. And Luke Perry was Dylan from 90210 Beverly Hills. Did you watch that show?
I did. And
yes.
It's really scary, but it's really scary because he was only 52.
Yes, 52.
So to have a stroke and then to pass away like that all, within a week, it really makes you think, oh, I need to go out and jog. I need to take better care of myself. I need to put those cookies down. Like, it makes you really think, because he was young. He was young.
Yes, he was. So just, thoughts and prayers with both of those families. Really hate to hear that.
Yeah.
And also, did you watch Leaving Netherlands? The documentary about Michael Jackson's accusers?
I did not. You know what? For stuff like that, I have to be in the right frame of mind because I just can't spring that on me. I have to be in the right frame of mind for that. So I didn't watch it. I planned to at some point, but I didn't watch it. And then I heard Oprah did like a show, or she's going to do like a show with the two guys that accused him or something.
Yes. I think that she's doing that tonight after this, because I guess it was a 2-night series.
Oh, okay.
I didn't watch it, but I think it was a 2-night. And she is doing her interview tonight after the second showing. I didn't watch either. Didn't really want to watch. And, like you, I may watch at some point. But I haven't yet. But Oprah did get a lot of flack for doing the interview. Although we don't know what stance she's going to take because we haven't seen the interview yet. But a
Right.
lot of people did give her a hard time for doing it because a lot of people felt like the documentary should have never been made because the boys testified in court under oath that nothing ever happened. And
Right.
now, years and years later, here we are. So a lot of people felt like it should have never come out. And then the next thing was, why is Oprah entertaining them? But
Well, I must say I was one of those people when I saw that she was doing it. I was like, I like Oprah is doing this because I thought the same thing that these two boys said, which I know that they were much younger, but they
yes,
said, nothing happened. And it seems pretty convenient just to me. And I'm not saying that nothing, didn't happen, but he's not here to tell his side of the story again. Like, it seems convenient now that he's deceased. Of course, you can come out and say anything that happened because he's not here to tell his side of the story. So,
right. And not only that he's not here to tell his side of the story, but they made a decision not to not to interview any of his family.
right.
So that was a conscious decision that they made. So it seems like they didn't want the other side of the story portrayed. So that
Yeah.
part of it, was I didn't agree with that either.
Yeah, no. I was really surprised that Oprah, got into that, but
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people were saying. And then I heard somewhere today it was said, okay, let's pause and wait to see how she does the interview because maybe she's going to be a voice on the other side. So I guess, well, I'm not going to watch that tonight either. So I guess I'll find out tomorrow on social media how
oh
her
yeah.
interview went.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Cuz
Yeah. And
there's going to be people who are going to be posting, I'm sure.
oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And then lastly, Wendy Williams returned to her show today. I don't watch. I used to a while ago, years ago. I'm not currently, one of her viewers, but I did see a clip of her. She came back and basically said, "Yes, I am still Mrs. Hunter. Don't worry about me. Don't talk about me." Or I think it was, "Talk about me when you see this ring on off of my finger," which will never happen. And I'm like, okay, you
Right.
know,
Right.
we'll
But
see how this goes.
I was glad, and I don't watch her show either. I'm not a fan or whatever, but I did. I was glad that she addressed it because she loves to talk about other people's business and get
Right.
way deep in their business. So if she didn't
And
address it,
she doesn't usually address her mess because
right,
obviously this is not the first time she and her husband have been in the news. This is not the first time there have been rumors about his shenanigans, but she usually doesn't really address it. And I guess she
right,
really didn't have a choice this time because she was gone for so long and there was so much being said in the blog. So she came out, she said what she said. Not really sure how much I believe her, but she did address it.
right, and that's what I was gonna say. I'm not really sure how much I believe it, but we'll see. I wish her well. I do know
Yes.
that's I'm not a Wendy Williams, and I know how hard divorce can be. So if that is what she's going through, I wish her well because I can only imagine going through something like divorce in the public
Publicly.
eye.
But she said it'll never happen. But
Okay.
I hope that the rumors that are out there are not true, especially the ones that center around him being abusive and maybe
Right.
her having a relapse and she had to do some rehab and that's why she was out. I hope that's not true because nobody deserves to to go through any of that.
Right. Oh yeah, I hope not. But you can never say never. Like, you can
right.
never say
That's
never.
what I was thinking. And she said never. And I was like, okay, Wendy. Because if it happens, best believe Blogosphere will pull up this clip.
Right. And it could be 30 years from now, and people be like, you remember back in 2019? Yeah, so
Exactly.
I never say never. Just she should say something more on the lines like, we hope that'll never happen, or
yeah, I hope that would never happen. I never want to get divorced, any of that, but don't say it definitively will never happen, because we never know.
You never know. So
right.
Well, I guess on that note, we can get right into the episode for this week. So I know you saw the Steve Harvey clip. Steve Harvey has like a little panel sometimes, and he asks questions. He has different people on the panel. And this week, I think he had Jason Lee and I forgot the workout lady's name, and he had a couple other people on there. But the question was, is it wise to pick financial security over love when it comes to settling down with someone? So that was the question. So I thought, okay, that's a good question. So I'm going to play the clip from Steve Harvey's show, and then we can talk about it on the other side. So
okay.
All right, here we go.
Is it wise to pick financial security over love when it comes to settling down with someone?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes, it's wise, but I haven't ever been able to do it. Yes,
I learned a long time ago. Stay loyal to the bag. At the end of the day, the bag is going to attract love. Love, and you got a whole lot of love, and you ain't got no bag, you'll be homeless.
Money does not buy happiness or love.
Exactly.
Money does not buy
happiness. Money buys you misery.
No.
You'll literally be in a prison burying somebody for that. I know many women who have, and they are absolutely miserable.
But love comes in many different sizes: 5,000, 20,000, 100,000. No, money gives you comfort and gives you stability.
Yeah, but
all this we need to struggle together. No, we're not doing that.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so that was the clip. So now, what do you think? Do you think it's wise to choose money over love, love over money? What are your thoughts?
Well, that one, I mean, part of me feels like there's not a clear-cut answer on that. I mean, first of all, I should say no. I don't think it's wise to choose money over love. But at the same token, I don't think I would be choosing homelessness, for love either.
Right. Oh yeah. I go back and forth, because I can say when you choose money over love, I feel like she was right that you can be miserable, because when you're with someone for money, two things. I feel like it's probably not for happiness, so you're probably just there for the money and you're sacrificing happiness for it. And that person gets to call the shots, per se. Like, so when she said the women are miserable, I believe that, because that person rules everything. So they get to say what you can and cannot do because they have the money and you don't. On the other hand, though, I don't want to be with somebody if we struggling, especially at this age. Like, it's just not a good look. It's not cute that we just, that we haven't, like we're struggling. So, and I want you to have my back. I'm not saying you have to, have a 6-figure bank account or whatever. That's nice if you do, but I'm just saying I would want you to be able to have my back and me do the same. So
Yeah. And I think that's where I was coming from when I said that I don't think it's a clear cut answer to that. Now, I'm not going to be with somebody for money, or I'm not going to go out and make a conscious decision that I'm looking for money and then the love is secondary. No, I'm not going to do that. But I'm also not going to be with somebody who doesn't have
right,
anything. So I might have to sacrifice love if what's with coming with that love is a man who doesn't have anything. And when I say doesn't have anything, I mean not just the fact that maybe he doesn't have any money, but he has no motivation, or he has nothing about him that makes him want to get up and do more. Not that, like you said, he needs to have that 6-figure income. Not that, he needs to be, in 3-piece suit going into the corner office. Not that it has to be any of that stuff, but I need him to be self-sufficient,
right,
because I am self-sufficient. And I feel like if I'm self-sufficient and he's self-sufficient and we come together, we can do great
right,
things. But I can't have him on 0 and I'm over here on 100, because that's just not going to work for
right,
me.
right. Definitely don't want to be with somebody who's on 0. We just that can't happen. A 0 cannot happen, because my motivation is definitely above a 0. I need you to at least be on the same level I am. So now, if we're
Yes.
together and something happens and you fall back down to 0, then okay, we can talk about that. We can fix this together. Because I got you, because I would expect this
for a certain period of time, but I'm gonna need you to come back up.
I'm gonna need you to be working on getting it back together, though, pulling yourself back together. Because I would hope that you would do the same for me. Like if I went to 0, then you'd give me some time to get it back together. But I think marrying for money or getting together with somebody for money is a disaster. Like, it just, I don't know that you can be happy. I guess you can have both, because for some people, money would make them happy. They say money don't make you happy, but I think for some people, they can be happy like that.
Yeah, I think for some people it can make you happy, and some people just come to that place where they find somebody that they are truly happy with, and that person happen to have money, and they get the best of both
Right.
worlds. And that happens too. But this topic is one that I think a lot of people may struggle with, because especially, and I think it's different. 20 years ago, I didn't put that much emphasis on the man already having.
Right.
Because we would both be at that stage where we're building our
Right.
future, or we're trying to get to that next level. But, and I always say, on the other side, but at this point in life, where we are, yes, he needs to be established. He needs to have something, because I have something. But it also, when I think about it, it's fear of coming across as being a gold digger, or as someone who wants someone for money. I think we have to be really careful with that, because if we really say what we feel, and we just did, like, hey, he doesn't have to be this, but I need him to be this, which means I need him to have something.
Right.
And then some people would look at that and say, oh, you want a man to take care of you. No, that's not what
Right,
we said.
right. No, I'm not trying to get you to take care of me. Now, if that's your goal in life, I'm not gonna fight you.
Right,
But
right.
that's not what I'm asking. And you're right. Sometimes it for men, I think when you say that kind of stuff, they take it as you're a gold digger or whatever. No, I'm just asking you to meet me where I am. You know, that's it. Like, I just need you to be able to take care of yourself. And at this point in our life, I want us to be able to go out to eat if we want to, once or twice a week maybe. Or we can go out of town without having to plan it for 6 months, or you know,
right.
something like that. Like, it doesn't have to be anything big, like, but I'm just saying, I want us to be to that point. I want you to be to that point where you can do that, because you know, at this age, that's what we should be able to do. You know, I'm not saying we should fly around the world, but we should be able to say, oh, you know what, weekend after next, maybe we should ride out to wherever, you know, and we're not using our light bill money for that, you know.
Right. And it's not a financial hardship to do something. And you know, I think that it's okay to say that. I think it's okay to want that, because at the end of the day, I'm not asking the mate or potential mate to bring anything to the table that I'm not bringing to the table. I'm not that chick who says he has to have this, and this. No, I just need you, like I said before, to be self-sufficient. And I don't require you to have any more than what I have. Now, if you do, woohoo, I mean, that's an added bonus, but it's not one of my bottom line requirements.
Right. Because, you know, for different people, different things are important. So, you know, we may say he needs to have a car and his own place or whatever. To me, I just need you to have a car. It needs to be...
Okay, yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about these bottom line requirements.
I need you to have a car.
So, yes,
but
that's
I need
important.
it to be a car that every, you know, once a month we not putting money into your vehicle, just trying to keep it on the road. You know what I mean? Like, I need you to have a...
Okay. So you're like, I need you to have a car, but then I have a A underneath that number one. Having a car.
I need you to have a running vehicle, like, you know, that'll stay on the road for some time.
Okay, because if you guys go out on a date, you don't want to be on the side of the road.
I don't want to do AAA every time we leave. But again,
what else you got?
It has to be a Benz, you know.
Right. It just has to be reliable.
There you go. Next, a place to live. And so,
yes,
depending on where we're living, what state or what region, that could look differently. For some, I know, living in, you know, Northern Virginia, the DC area, the cost of living is higher up here. So you may have to have a roommate. Hey, that's perfectly fine with me. I know for some women, they're like, no, that still wouldn't work for me. That would be fine with me, because I understand the cost of living.
Okay, but like if you're in Georgia or Florida, you down south, I'm thinking that you should probably be able to have your own place.
So, like I said, it's region. So, depending on the region.
Yes,
like
I agree.
Here, some people have basement apartments. Like, they rent out somebody's basement. Mm-hmm. That would be cool with me, because most of them, you have your own entrance. The basement is locked off. So, it's like its own separate apartment. I'd be cool with that, too. Now, would I be cool with those things forever? Probably not. But, like, if you experience a little downtime or something, and you need to get yourself back together and you moved in with a roommate or you took a basement apartment, I'm cool with that. Like I'm flexible, because I might have to do that. So I'm flexible.
So you're flexible walking in the door. So you're just meeting somebody and they're down. Do you see yourself getting into that relationship, or would it be easier for you to be there if he's up? Then you guys can get into the relationship, and then if he falls, okay, I
think it would be easier coming in if he was, up a little bit and then he came down. But I can't say that I wouldn't, date or talk to someone who was already there, who had a roommate or lived in a basement apartment. I can't say that I wouldn't, because it just depends on the vibe between us. Like,
Yeah, it would be hard for me to do that roommate situation. It would be hard for me to do that.
I'm saying I don't know. I don't want to count that out, but I would prefer if he was up and then he fell down.
Yeah.
That might be.
But like I think you said, it definitely depends on the region. It definitely depends on where you are and the cost of living of where you are. Because like you said, in certain areas, that's pretty much the norm. Whereas in other areas, not so. So depending on where I am, geographically speaking, would kind of alter the answer to that question for me.
And another thing I need him to do is, I'm not gonna sit down and right out the gate we talk about your credit score, my credit score, that kind of thing. But I need you to be able to, when we go out to eat, you can pay. Or I'm not saying all the time, because I know somebody listening probably like, oh, she one of those chicks, she wants you to pay all the time. I'm not saying all the time, but I'm saying you should be able to pay sometime. You should be able to take us, if we wanted to do a day trip somewhere, or we wanted to plan a weekend trip or something, you should be able to do that. If
Yeah. And I kind of feel like definitely during the dating stage, once we get to that point where we're committed, then yeah, it's you and me, it's give and take. But if you're trying to woo me and you're courting me per se, I think that I expect for you to do these things.
Right.
Once we in that space where we're together, I think it's more give and take there.
Right.
At least that's kind of how I am when I look at the whole thing at some point. I want you to show me, what I can look forward to if we are together.
Right. So those are my, my main finance things that I need you to, come to the table with. I think those are all of them.
Okay, so let me piggyback on that, because you touched on it and you said not that it has to happen like right off the bat. And I recently read an article about the timing of the whole money talk. So obviously if, you're just dating somebody, you guys are hanging out or whatever, their financial business is really not your business. But at what point do you think or at any point, well, I guess marriage would be a point, but before that, when do you think it's necessary or a good idea to have the money talk?
That's a good question, because that can get sticky, because you don't want to do it too early, because then people start to think you're, in it for the money, but you don't want to do it too late. And then you caught up in your feelings.
Right.
And you find out that, he really don't have any money, that he been taking you out from some borrowed money that he borrowed from his friends.
That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. But the article that I read, it kind of had a timeline.
Oh, really?
But it is a hard one. But I agree with you. You definitely don't want to do it too soon because you don't want to scare them away. But then also you don't want to wait until you're fully invested, and then it's hard to get out
Right.
of it. But I think that it kind of goes in steps. And if I remember correctly, the article went along the lines of, okay, so you're dating or whatever, and if you're in and you actually determine that you guys are a couple, then you may have the salary talk. And I don't know if it's specific numbers or generally speaking. And that's just so that you guys know what each other's budget is, so that if you are planning joint
Right.
vacations and things along those lines, then because you kind of need to know that information, because if we say that we're going on a trip this year or we're going on a trip this summer, I kind of need to know where you are, because I might be thinking Paris and you might be thinking the
Right.
Bahamas. So the article that I read, and I wish I remember where it was, but I don't. I'll have to look it up. But it was stating that when you become a couple, yeah, you need to talk about finances, because that comes into play when you're talking about going on trips and you're talking about vacation. That kind of determines whether or not you can fly somewhere, or if it needs to be a trip that you can drive
Right.
on. So at that point, they said, okay, you do need to have the general talk about finances and
Right.
budget. But then it says, if you get to the point where you are going to cohabitate and you're going to live together, it's time to like really get in, and you need to know, okay, what's your credit
Right.
score?
Right.
And and then you need to know exactly what this person is making, because it's no longer do we have the same idea as far as vacationing is concerned, but if we're going to live together, we need to know if we are on the same page as far as the type of housing. Are you talking about renting an apartment, or are you talking about moving into a house? Are we talking about something that's going to be $1,500 a month, or we're talking about $2,500 a month? So it was saying that's when you really need to get deep into the finances and how much a person makes, so you'll know what you
Right.
guys can
Right.
comfortably
Right.
afford.
And I think if you're open and honest with someone, you can work things out, and come to some kind of agreement. Where the problem usually comes in is you don't know. And so your expectations could be one thing, and this person might be on a whole different level. Like, I might be expecting
Right.
that we can fly to Jamaica when really the best we can do is go to, Disneyland or something, But because we didn't talk about that, I'm just
Yes.
assuming because I can go,
Right.
that you can do the same. And,
And the assumptions is that's very
it is.
dangerous and should
It
not be
is.
done. But, as we're talking about this, and I'm sitting here thinking about it, I don't know that I've ever really had the money talk
Well,
going into a
I
relationship.
don't think I have either, but probably should have, but I don't think I have either. I know with my ex-husband, we both kind of started on the same level, pretty close to one another because we were in the military, so kind of knew how much he was making. He didn't have to say, because the military, your pay is online, so everybody could know how much you making. And so
Yeah.
we didn't really have to have the talk because it was obvious,
Uh-huh.
But we did have conversations about how we felt about money, which was
Yeah.
totally different. I realized that some people feel differently about money. I think
That's
that
true.
you can live your life and save for the future and enjoy the present. I think you can
at the same time. I think that's important to have that balance.
Because my thing is, what if you save for the future? And case in point, we were just talking about Luke Perry. You know, he was only 52. And so, you know, usually at 50s, we're still saving for our future. And what if I save and I never do anything and then I'm gone? And I never got to do at least some of the things that I wanted to do. And so I feel like you can do...
And somebody else will be enjoying all the fruits of your labor.
So I think, you know...
So tell me this. I think that's important. Now, you talked about your marriage, but like after that, you dated.
Right.
So I want to know if you kind of viewed it the same way I did. And I have to say that I did what we just said we shouldn't do, make assumptions. But I don't think that my assumptions were way off base. So in dating, you know, say we go out with someone and we might go on a few dates. And when you see that person and you see kind of how they move and you see kind of how they're living, you kind of make some assumptions on what they got going on.
Right.
Now, for me, I have, because like I just said, I don't think I've ever really had the money talk, but I've made some assumptions based on how they move and how they live and our interaction. And I've always kind of hit the nail on the head. You know, with my view of their situation.
Well, you know what? I probably have made assumptions with people that I was dating after my divorce. I probably made some assumptions, and a couple of them were dead on. And I would say a couple of them were dead on, even though it wasn't what I wanted it to be. Like, I knew.
But you recognized it for what it was.
I recognized it for what it was. And so I went into it with an open mind, kind of, you know. And maybe I didn't even admit to myself that I knew, you know, whatever. But I did go into it knowing, because most of the time when you see someone driving a certain car, or you they live in a certain place, or they do certain things when you go out, you know, what you see is pretty much what it is. You know, because if you start if you're dating for a long time, or at least several months or a year or so, I mean, they can't.
Then you really, I think you know,
because they can't fake it, but for so long, you know.
They might fake it for the first few weeks, but then if they're not really there, they're not going to be able to maintain that. So it ends up showing. And I think that's where I've been. So I really haven't really delved into the whole money conversation. But I do agree with the article in the respect that when you get to the point that you're going to move in together, I believe that, you know, there needs to be a conversation and a clear understanding so we both know what we're getting into.
Right. But, you know, money is always uncomfortable to talk about.
It is. It is.
It's always hard to, you know, because some people that's a sensitive subject.
Yes. And it's always difficult because you walk that thin line, because you don't want anybody to think that, especially if they have money, you don't want them to think that you're trying to get into their business because you want their money. And then, you know, at the same time, if they don't have money, you don't want them to think that you're judging them for not having money. So it's a tough conversation to have.
It is. But it's a necessary conversation to have. So
I agree.
In conclusion, I feel like at least for me, in conclusion, I think I would not choose money over love. But I would hope that you would have enough money to take care of yourself so that I'm not choosing, money over love. And again, I'm not going to choose love necessarily over money. Like if I know that you're dead broke and you're in your struggle mode right now, maybe this is not a good time for us.
It's a no for me.
Maybe this is not a good time for us. You're probably not ready to be dating. And so maybe when you get back on the come up and I'm still single, then give me a call. But this might not be the best time for you. So for me, I'm not going to choose money over love, but I'm not going to choose love over dead broke. So.
Yeah, and I agree. I can't do the broke at this stage of my life. I can't do, the financial struggles at this point in my life. No. I can't
not
do
that. Not
starting
out that way.
But
no.
No, right, not starting out that way. Now, obviously, if we've established a relationship and you hit a rough spot, I'm here, I got you, but I'm not going to knowingly walk into a relationship knowing that you're not at least where I am.
Exactly.
And if that makes me that lady that's digging for that gold, I'm sorry. But that's where I am at this point in life. And no, I'm not sorry. That's where I am at this point in my life.
Absolutely.
No apologies necessary.
None. Okay, well, I guess we figured out where we are on that. So, I guess now you want to talk about Ratchet Recap?
Yeah, let's talk about my new favorite show, Love and Marriage Huntsville.
Okay, yes.
And I think there were a couple episodes that we can recap on, and we'll just try to tie them in really quickly to get out of here. But I think last we talked about them, everybody was in Miami for Kimmy and Maurice's marriage, and they got married. Everything was good. But let's touch on the piece where Melanie and Martell stepped outside to talk about their situation. Now, how did you feel when he said, I don't care how many women I slept with, I could have slept with 1,000 women, it should have stayed in our house?
Yeah, see, I thought that was some dumb shit. Yeah, I thought that was some dumb shit. And here's why. Because, first off, who says that? Especially when you fresh off of just cheating on your wife. Like, that's the last thing you should be saying. And no, if you've hurt me to the point that you've hurt me, then no, maybe it doesn't get to stay in our house because you wanted to stay in our house so you remain looking good and looking like an upstanding citizen and, this great businessman who take care of family, who take care of home, and they have that great relationship. No, maybe it doesn't get to stay in the household. Maybe it'll make me feel better if I tell your mama and my mama and our friends, like, maybe it will. And that's just something you're going to have to deal with because you did what you did. So, no, I thought it was dumb what he said. Like, who says that? And you fresh off of cheating. Like, you fresh off of cheating. And you going to say something like that. Like, what you really should be saying is, I understand I hurt you. And I hate that this had to be, spread outside of our household. I'm really sad. I really am sad that you feel this way and that you feel like you had to go to other people, to make you feel better or whatever. Like,
yeah, I think that the most sincere moment from Martell was when he was drugged up in the hospital getting ready to go into surgery. I think at that point is when he really got it. And of course that was right after she told him that she felt like after he recuperated that she felt like they needed some time apart. I think he got it in that moment. You know, I think because and maybe it was because of the drugs and he was, you know, bare at that point. And he wasn't in the frame of mind where he felt like he needed to keep up that facade of, you know, being this macho man or whatever is usually in his head. I don't know. But I think that was a sincere moment for him. And that really got to him. Yeah. And then also, I think when they met as the comeback group, they were meeting and it was everybody but Martell because he was in the hospital. And Melanie was trying to explain to them where she was and the fact that she just didn't know what was going to happen with her marriage or what was going on with that. And Maurice was the one that said it for her because everybody else was saying, well, did something else happen? Did he do something else? And she was trying to explain no, but the thing is, and I really get what she's saying. When he cheated on her, there was nothing in her mind wrong with their marriage. They were having a good time. They were hanging out. They were having sex. They were spending family time. The two of them had date nights. They were doing everything. So, you know, now he's not cheating or supposedly not cheating, and they're still doing everything. She has her doubts because, like, everything was great before and you cheated. So how am I to know that you're not cheating now when everything is great? And Maurice said, it sounds like you have to build your confidence back in Martell. And it is almost, and she said that's exactly what it is, but it's almost like he has to do something else to build her confidence. And I don't think that she even knows what that something else is. And it's probably not something that she can communicate to him. It's probably a thing of when he does it, if he does it, she'll know it and she'll feel it. But right now, it's not happening.
And I felt like, and that's what I was thinking too, I felt like that something was what he said in the hospital. You know, like she needed something. She needed something from him because there was no indicator that he was doing anything different because he's doing exactly what he was doing when he was cheating. So there's no indicator that it has stopped, that he has changed, that he feels different or whatever. And she needed something. And maybe she didn't know what it was, but maybe when he was in the hospital and he was drugged up and he said, I don't want to lose you. I want you to be with me forever. Are you going to be with me forever? That was what she needed because he gave her the flowers and he wrote her a little note or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when you are able to see somebody's true feelings, and usually when you drugged up like that, you say stuff that's really on your mind, like in your, deep conscious. And so maybe that's what she needed to, to feel better about their situation. Because that would be really hard. Think about it. Usually when somebody's cheating, you can look back and say, oh, well, that's why he was doing X, Y, Z, and that's why we stopped having sex, and that's why he, wasn't, we weren't having fun, or we didn't go on vacation, or blah, blah, blah. But she said everything was still going, great in her mind, and he didn't dispute that.
Right.
It wasn't like, all he said is he felt like she was, did he say something about she was working or something, or I forgot what he said, but
I think he tried to place some of the blame on her, which he should never do. But he did say maybe working a lot and not putting as much time or energy into him because he comes across as the type of man who wants to be the center of attention.
Right. He comes across like he grew up as an only child or the only boy,
Well, speaking of that, did you see his conversation with his mom when he went to visit his mom before the surgery? And I mean, granted, she was like, don't hurt my daughter, don't do this. And she was really hurt. But at the same time, she too was justifying him cheating. I mean, she basically said, you guys have it good. You have a good life, and you're a good husband, and you're a good dad. Yeah, and Melanie has always said that he helps with the kids, and he spends time, and like he does all of that. But that still doesn't negate the fact that he cheated, and that was wrong. And it should not be justified. Like, Mom, you should, yes, this is your son, this is your baby, you love him, but you can't justify him cheating.
Right. You can't justify it. You can't make it right. Let's acknowledge it and work forward. But you also have to acknowledge her feelings and how that made her feel,
And however long it takes her to get past that, because she can't trust the fact that you guys are in a good place to know that you're not cheating, because you were in a good place when you cheated. So it's going to take something else for her to be. And he says all the time, that was 2 years ago, and she had to correct him. No, it wasn't. It was a year ago, and she said, no, it hasn't been quite a year yet. But he comes across as wanting her to let it go and never talk about it again, because in his mind that happened so long ago.
He just wants it to go away. He just wants it to go away, and he has to understand it may take her a year. It may take her, because it seems like she also didn't find out until that night that it had been close to 2 years that he was, 2 years instead of 1. Right. Can you imagine you're having what you think is a great marriage, everything's going good, and then a year or so later or whatever, you find out for the last 2 years your husband's been in a relationship? Because if you're with somebody for 2 years, the same woman, that's a relationship, and you care about her.
Oh yeah, she said that you had a full-blown relationship, and it's multiple hurts. There is hurt because he betrayed her, and that's her husband. And like she said, that was like her best friend. They started their business together, and they grew it. It's appears to be a very successful business. But she also has that hurt of a woman who, like she said, you have me out here looking crazy. Because people knew, and he's trying to say people didn't know, but the other couples had already acknowledged that they had heard stuff. So she was dealing with that also. Like, he's having this full-fledged relationship. Right. So I'm out here working and taking care of family and taking care of him, and I'm out amongst the people of Huntsville, and some people are probably talking behind my back, poor thing. She don't even know what her husband out here doing. So she has to deal with that embarrassment as well. And I get he wants her to tuck it away and never talk about it again. I'm sure he would like that, and I understand that. But I also think that if he truly wants to get on the other side of the infidelity, he has to allow her the time, however long that is, to really get through it and to be in a better place.
You don't get to tell me when I need to let it go. You just don't get to get to tell me, because I didn't get to know anything about this. I didn't get to, have any say so in anything that you were doing. So you don't get to tell me when I should shut it down. And I'll let you know when I'm there. What she the only thing I say is, once you have said that you're over it and you're forgiving somebody, then you have to let it go. You can't just keep bringing it up when it's convenient. And so obviously she's not there yet, because every little thing
I don't think she's there
brings her back there. So she's definitely not there.
And part of it is, I don't think he took true ownership of it until, the scene in the hospital. Because I think that the way that he acts, and him trying to justify it or him trying to blame her, doesn't help his case in helping her along in the process.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, my last thing on them is when Melody had dinner with Kimmy, and she opened up and said that she was really hurt that during that time Kimmy didn't reach out to her.
Right.
And Kimmy was like, "Well, I sent you a text." And she said, "Yeah, you sent me a text, but you're my friend and you didn't call
Right.
me."
Yeah. I understand that part too.
I think I understand both ends of it, but I can really understand where Kimmy is coming from, because for one, it didn't seem like at the time they were super
Right.
close. Because I think the comeback group had dissolved, and it wasn't in the best terms that they dissolved in. And then people were talking about, you know, what's going on in the streets. And Kimmy was kind of like, we hadn't really talked, so I didn't want to call you up. And then it appeared that I'm just really trying to get in your
Right.
business.
Right.
So she said, I felt like the best thing for me to do was to send you a text. And I understand that.
I do understand that. It's a, you know, it's probably a touchy subject. And so you really, unless you're really close to that person, you really don't know how to approach it where you seem like you're concerned but not nosy, you know? And so
Right.
it is a hard, and you never know. Some people want you to contact them and say, how are you doing or whatever. And other people like, you know, don't bother me. I'm going through something and I don't want to be bothered. I get that because, you know, even during a divorce, you know, for some people I wanted to hear from and I expected to hear from. And then there were other people where I didn't want to talk to them because I felt like they would just be asking for nosy reasons. Like, oh, I saw on Facebook such and such. Are y'all still together? Or, you know, so.
Yeah.
You know.
And, you know, I think that the text could have been Kimmy's. Because, see, that's probably, you know, the approach I would take. I would think that the text from Kimmy was probably her knocking on the door to see if she could come in. And I think that if Mel had called her and say, hey, thank you for the text, I really appreciate it. Hey, you know, you want to grab dinner, you want to grab some drinks, or had just started talking, I think that would have opened up the door for Kimmy, and then she probably would have followed through and then continued to follow up with her.
Right. Because if it wasn't a close friend of mine, that's probably what I would do. I would just send a text and say, hey girl, are you good? You know, if you need to talk or something, I'm here. You know, give me a call. So that's probably the approach. If it's not somebody I'm close to. If it's somebody I'm close to, then I'm going to call. I'm going to reach out by phone or stop by or whatever.
Right.
But, yeah.
And especially since it comes across that they were at one point trying to put on the facade that everything was good.
Right.
So if they're trying to portray that, then you definitely don't want to call in and say, hey, girl.
Right.
You okay? I heard this, and this. Because you don't know, you know, if it's somebody who always wants to put the best face forward and they don't want to talk about the issues, that's fine, but you're not going to bring it up. So I think that was kind of her way to let her know that, hey, I'm here if you need anything. And I think if she had, you know, reached out to her, then that would have been the open door for Kimmy to, you know, to walk in and continue to check on her. But I think they got through it at that dinner, and they seem to be good after that.
I like the show, and I hope it will come back for another season. I like them.
Yeah, because I think the season finale is coming up, right?
Well, that wasn't the season finale?
I don't know. I think there's one more.
Okay.
I'm
I
not
thought
sure.
that was the season finale.
I could be wrong though. It might be. I hope it's not.
I thought that was. I might be wrong.
I need more closure.
Yeah. No, I think you might have gotten all your closure. I think that was the season finale. But I'm not
Okay.
sure. It might be, but I think that was it. I think that's all you're gonna get. But I really liked them. I think their drama was like everyday drama. It wasn't like fighting and cat fighting, like, you know,
or manufactured
right. I think
drama.
that's real
Yeah.
drama that could happen between, you know, friends or whatever. What I did like is they would have their disagreements in the meeting, but it seemed like outside of it, they could still, you know, kind of scratch it a little bit, put it in a box, and go back to being friends outside the group. Because I can't remember the dark skinned lady's name. What's her name? Letitia. She was kind of mad when they first got there, but once when they got to the last little meeting that they had, and they were all standing around talking, they were trying to get Mel to come back to the group. She was visibly upset about it. She still didn't want to be bothered with Mel, but it seems like once she started to discuss her and her marriage, then she opened up, you know, and she was. So I like her. I'm glad she's getting her career. She's doing her thing. I like her. And that's what I say. I like the show. I think for reality shows, it's a good show. So hopefully they'll come back for another season.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, I guess that'll be it for this week, and we'll catch everybody next week. Bye.
If you would like to share your comments or let us know what you think about the episode, please email us at whawelikeinc@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at What We Like.
Make sure that you guys are doing what you like this week,
because we'll definitely be doing what we like. Bye.
Bye.